What if your last moments alive were captured on camera, showing behaviors so bizarre that millions would watch, theorize, and create conspiracy theories about your final hours? Welcome to SherlockMode. January 26, 2013. The bustling streets of Los Angeles welcomed another visitor, but this one would never return home alive. Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old Canadian student from Vancouver, stepped off an Amtrak train with dreams of exploring the West Coast. She was bright, artistic, and full of hope for her solo adventure. But destiny had other plans. On January 28th, she checked into the Cecil Hotel, a place that would become her tomb. The Cecil Hotel was no ordinary lodging. Built in 1924 as a glamorous destination, it had descended into darkness over the decades. This 700-room monument to decay sat in the heart of Skid Row, where desperation lived in every shadow. The hotel had earned a sinister nickname among locals, Hotel Death. Since its opening, over 16 unexplained deaths had occurred within its walls. Two notorious serial killers had called this place home. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, stayed here in 1985, returning covered in blood after his horrific crimes. Jack Unterweger, an Austrian serial killer, used the Cecil as his base in 1991 while murdering 3 women in Los Angeles. Elisa was unaware of this dark history. She originally booked a shared room, eager to meet fellow travelers. But within 2 days, her roommates complained about her odd behavior. They demanded she be moved to a private room. What they witnessed would later make sense. Elisa suffered from bipolar disorder, a condition that caused extreme mood swings and episodes of mania. On her blog, Ether Fields, she had written about her struggles. "I am drowning in my dream. I do not exist in reality." January 31st, 2013. The day everything changed. Elisa was scheduled to check out and continue her journey to Santa Cruz. She had maintained daily contact with her parents, David and Elisa Lam, who owned a restaurant in Vancouver. But that day, silence. When their daughter failed to call, her parents knew something was terribly wrong. They immediately contacted the Los Angeles Police Department. Detective Wallace Tinnell and his partner were assigned the case. They searched Elisa's room, finding all her belongings untouched. Her laptop, wallet, and identification remained in the room. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. For 2 weeks, the search intensified. LAPD officers combed through Skid Row, interviewing witnesses and following every lead. With no concrete leads, detectives made a desperate decision. They released hotel surveillance footage to the public, hoping someone would recognize her. The footage they released would become one of the most disturbing videos on the internet. For minutes of pure terror. The video showed Elisa in the Cecil Hotel elevator on the day she disappeared, but her behavior was beyond explanation. She entered the elevator and pressed buttons for multiple floors, but the doors refused to close. Something was wrong. Elisa then crept to the elevator entrance, peering left and right as if hiding from someone or something. She jumped back into the corner, pressing herself against the wall, trembling with apparent terror. Then something even more bizarre happened. She stepped out of the elevator and began making strange hand gestures. Her movements resembled someone having a conversation with an invisible presence. Her hands moved as if she was swimming or casting spells. Body language experts analyzed the footage. Dr. Jack Brown noted she showed playfulness and anxiety, but strangely, never fear for her safety. The video went viral immediately. Within days, it had garnered over 25 million views and spawned countless conspiracy theories. Internet sleuths dissected every frame. They noticed the timestamp was blurry and claimed 53 seconds had been edited out. Some believed they saw the edge of another person's shoe at the 2:30 mark. Others thought the video was deliberately slowed down. Theories exploded across the internet. Some claimed she was playing the Korean elevator game, a ritual to access another dimension. Others pointed to eerie similarities with the horror film Dark Water, where a girl's body is found in a building's water tank. The most bizarre theory involved a tuberculosis test called Elisa, suggesting she was part of a biological weapon experiment. But the truth would prove more disturbing than any conspiracy. February 19, 2013. Hotel guests began complaining about the water. The water pressure was low, and the taste was foul. Something was terribly wrong with the hotel's water supply. A maintenance worker climbed to the roof to inspect the 4 massive water tanks. Each held 1,000 gallons and stood 8 feet tall. As he peered into the first tank, his blood ran cold. Floating face up in the dark water was a decomposing body. It was Elisa Lam. She had been in the tank for 19 days, and hotel guests had been drinking, bathing, and cooking with water from her grave. The discovery raised impossible questions. How did she access the roof? The doors were locked with alarms that would trigger if opened. The water tanks sat on a platform 10 feet above the roof. A ladder was required to reach them. Each tank had a heavy hatch that required significant strength to open. How could someone of Elisa's small stature manage this alone? The Los Angeles Fire Department had to drain the tank and cut it open from the side to remove her body. Elisa was found naked, her clothes floating beside her in the dark water. The image would haunt investigators forever. The autopsy began immediately. Coroner's officials needed answers to explain this impossible death. Initial findings were confusing. The autopsy was ruled inconclusive, requiring additional toxicology tests. 6 weeks later, the final report arrived. The cause of death, accidental drowning. But this only deepened the mystery. The toxicology revealed crucial information. Elisa had been taking 4 psychiatric medications for her bipolar disorder. However, blood tests showed she hadn't been taking her antipsychotic medication regularly. This was the key to understanding her behavior. Detective Tinnell formed his theory. My opinion is that she fell off her medication, and in her state, she found her way onto the roof. Without her antipsychotic medication, the antidepressants could trigger severe manic episodes with hallucinations and paranoia. In this state, Elisa likely experienced a psychotic break. She may have believed someone was following her, explaining the elevator behavior. Her sister confirmed Elisa's paranoia during the trip. She believed people were following her and acting strangely. The roof access mystery had a simple explanation. Fire escape routes didn't have alarms, and maintenance hatches could be accessed. In her manic state, Elisa climbed to the roof, possibly seeking escape from her perceived pursuers. She somehow lifted the tank hatch and climbed inside. As the water level dropped from hotel use, she couldn't escape. The final moments were terrifying. Alone in the dark tank, unable to reach the opening above, she drowned in her own panic. But questions remain. No security cameras captured her on the roof. How did she lift the heavy hatch alone? Her parents filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Cecil Hotel, claiming inadequate security allowed the tragedy. The case was dismissed. The court ruled the hotel couldn't have foreseen such an unusual accident. The internet refused to accept the official explanation. Conspiracy theories continued to multiply and spread. Some claimed she was murdered by hotel employees. Others insisted supernatural forces were involved. The elevator game theory persisted. Believers claimed she had accessed another dimension and couldn't return. Mental health experts criticized the conspiracy theories, saying they stigmatized bipolar disorder and ignored scientific evidence. The case inspired documentaries, movies, and even a season of American Horror Story. Elisa's death became entertainment. Tourism to the Cecil Hotel increased dramatically. People came seeking thrills, not understanding the real human tragedy. The hotel eventually closed for renovations and was converted to affordable housing, trying to escape its dark reputation. Today, Elisa's parents live quietly in Vancouver, still grieving their daughter's loss. They've avoided the media spotlight. Elisa Lam was buried in a cemetery in Burnaby. Her gravestone bears a simple inscription, far from the internet's wild theories. Let us analyze the evidence with logical reasoning, as Sherlock Holmes would approach this mystery. The elevator footage shows classic symptoms of a manic episode. Her gestures match someone experiencing hallucinations. The medication withdrawal explains her paranoia and erratic behavior. Without antipsychotics, her grip on reality loosened. The roof access, while unusual, was possible through fire escapes or maintenance hatches during a severe mental health crisis. The lack of foul play evidence, combined with her documented mental health condition, supports the accidental drowning conclusion. The real tragedy isn't a conspiracy. It's a young woman who suffered alone with mental illness and died in a moment of crisis. The internet's obsession turned her final moments into entertainment, overlooking the human being behind the viral video. Her death highlights the importance of mental health awareness and the dangers of untreated bipolar disorder. The Cecil Hotel's dark history created the perfect storm for conspiracy theories, but sometimes reality is more tragic than fiction. If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery, like and subscribe to Sherlock Mode.